All my bags are packed, I'm ready to go. I'm standing here outside your door.
Well, let's see, where to begin? About 18 years old, um, close to summertime, at the end of my high school year in Northern California. Most of us were given our draft notice. Some had high numbers, some had low numbers. We chose to go in different branches of the service. Mine was the United States Marine Corps in San Diego, California. Beautiful city, beautiful area, from the beach through the mountains. And let's see, basic training, what was that like? Hard, about 12 weeks, very hard. And there were people that I didn't think would honestly make it. And with the draft being so in need of men, maybe they just pick anybody. But moving on, it was a good experience. Helped to build people as men, helped to build some friendships. One of my best friendships in basic was a guy by the name of Chuck, well, Charles or Charlie. And he was a good guy. He really was. Had lots of fun. Could never keep up with me in the run. Could never keep up with me in the calisthenics. But he was still a good guy. We spent the 12 weeks there and then went to, from there in basic training at MCRD, we went down to Camp Pendleton. That was really tough. I could tell you that we had sprained ankles, sprained knees, lots of scrapes and cuts and bruises and stuff. One of the most fun part was there's this huge mountain, and we would all see if we could come down, and it was very steep, and we would all see if we could come down it as fast as possible. And that was a lot of fun, you know. And then we got to go to Oceanside for our days off, and just people trying to steal your money, prostitutes everywhere trying to steal your money. And so I spent most of my time back at the base because I was a tightwad. Wait a minute, I'm still a tightwad. And spent a good amount of time at Camp Pendleton learning how to fire weapons, learning how to defend myself, even more than basic training. Got rather good at it. Got good at shooting too, very good. And then we went on to North Carolina, and another very pretty state. And then from there went to some schooling in Tennessee, and then back to North Carolina, and where I was shipped to Guantanamo Bay. That was in Cuba, and there we did a lot of guard duty around the base to guard the whole base. And unfortunately, when we were bouncing around from one base to another, Charlie was sent to Vietnam, and that wasn't good because I developed a good friendship with him, and we had a lot of good times together, and we'd argue about whose state was better, or which football team was better, or who was the fastest, and I was the fastest. And it was just it was a good relationship. Anyway, I got to Cuba, and he went to Vietnam, and I was on guard duty. And the funny thing about that was that after I came back from Vietnam and came back from being in the Marine Corps, it would be like about 3 or 4 months after all of that, I saw myself on TV as a guard, guarding the perimeter in Cuba. And they told me to point down to an area where Fidel Castro would be driving his little blue Jeep. And that was funny. It was just funny. Anyway, I guess about halfway through the tour in Cuba, I received a very disturbing letter from Charlie's mom telling me that he'd been wounded and had died of his injuries in Vietnam. 6 months later, I was on my way back to Pendleton, and then we got on the USS Gordon, I think. Wow, that was a million years ago. Anyway, and we took many, many, many days, seems like weeks, maybe it was, trip that eventually landed us in Vietnam. And the first thing I noticed there is the country is very beautiful, without a doubt. And the people there were very polite, and they were very small, and the women there were attractive up until the age of about 23, 24. And because they chewed on the betel nut, they got these black mouths and no teeth. Now that was some kind of a drug. And it was my first experience into the world of, I guess, drugs, you know. I saw what drugs could do to people, and I decided not only does it cost you money, but it takes away your teeth. Wait a minute. I don't have any teeth now as it is. Anyway, so in Vietnam, we had lots and lots of opportunity to walk through the jungle. We had lots of opportunity to be in firefights. We had lots of opportunity to see the people around there and get to know that there was a portion of the population that did not like us there, did not want us there. And we did our job as soldiers. What can I tell you? You know, they fired upon us, we fired upon them. They killed us, we killed them. Nobody won in that war. They've got us in a wonderful crossfire that we could not get out of. And had it not been for an F-4 Phantom jet, we would have all died that day. As it was, I got to laugh at myself because I dove behind a thing called elephant grass. Now, it's about that big around, a clump of it, and you could probably hide your head behind it, but you could not hide your whole body behind it. And so as we're trying to get to different places of safety, I'm running toward the jungle, and this guy steps out, the Viet Cong steps out from behind this growth. Just, I can't tell you what it was exactly, it was just all green. And he wheels around to point his weapon at me, and I point my weapon at him first, and I pull the trigger, and I hear the sound of a click. And as I'm trying to get a good round into my chamber, I hear the sound of his weapon, AK-47, going off. I hear the sound of 4 bullets being shot in my direction. One hit my canteen, one hit my bandolier with the bullets in it, igniting the bullets that were there, and one hit the upper portion of my flak jack and bounced off. And I don't know where the 4th one hit. But the next thing I know, I'm on the ground with a great big hole in my leg and a bend in my leg. That would be the upper leg, which is the femur, that comes from the hip. It goes up, then it goes down before it gets to the knee. Then it goes up, back up again, and then it bends at the knee and goes straight down. And I'm looking at myself bleeding all over the place and thinking, what a hell of a birthday present to get, you know. But I'm laying there realizing that I have got to find some way to be quiet because there are people all around me. And my people weren't close enough to me, you know, to be making the noise that I hear. And so for a long time, I am laying there in this indentation in the sand, and people don't see me. And I'm thinking, you're going to be dead any second because one of these Viet Cong are going to come by and see me there and realize I ain't dead. But then comes that poor phantom, and it starts blowing big chunks of earth up in the air and making huge sounds. And I was so happy to hear them until I realized that some of those 20 millimeter cannon shells are very close to me. They say war is hell. I agree. That was a mess. That was a huge mess. We lost quite a few men on that day, and I was able to eventually be picked up by the corpsman, who told me he didn't want to make house calls that day, which was another funny thing. And they flew us out of that area into a field hospital, and then into where they straightened out my leg and they set it, and they then shipped me to the Philippines, then to Hawaii, and then we went to Texas because we had a bunch of burn patients on board the aircraft that I was on, and they had to drop them off first, and then they brought us back to California, where I eventually ended up at a place called Oak Knoll Naval Hospital and spent the remainder of my time healing there, which was close to a year because I had a broken femur. In the group that I was with, there were 6 of us. 3 of us came back alive, and all 6 had been wounded in one way or another. And none of the 3 were ever the same.